Hey Star Warriors, Star Geek here, and welcome to the special 20th episode of Star Wars Factor Beam, the series where I tell you 10 Star Wars facts that you can't pull away from. Each episode is centered around a certain character, film, or category. In today's special episode, the film under lockdown in the cell block level of the Fact Star is Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Let's hop right into it with fact number 1. When George Lucas offered Irving Kershner the job to direct what was then simply known as Star Wars 2, Kershner immediately refused. He didn't want to be the one held in charge of making the sequel to a movie as spectacular as Star Wars. Of course, when he informed his agent of the decision, Irving Kershner got a talking to, and was sent back to direct what many consider the best film in the saga.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Fact number 2. The Empire Strikes Back is the only film to include a full-size Millennium Falcon set. For the Echo-based shots, they built a full-scale 360-degree accurate model. Other films built large portions of the beloved freighter, but Empire holds the honor as the only film to use a complete replica.
Oh yeah? Watch this.
Watch what?
I think we're in trouble.
Fact number 3. Alec Guinness shot all of his scenes in a duration of 6 hours standing in front of a blue screen. This fact makes sense when you consider he has exactly 1 minute only of screen time, but the crazy part of this is that he was the highest paid actor in the film, making millions on his participation in the franchise because he was paid on a percentage of profits basis. Guinness was also bitter with Lucas for killing Obi-Wan off in the first movie, and was reluctant to film due to a bad eye infection he was having treated at the time.
It is you and your abilities the Emperor wants. That is why your friends are made to suffer.
Fact number 4. Mark Hamill, known for his diverse voice acting, is uncredited as the voice of the man who announces to the rebels at Echo Base, "The first transport is away." Hamill has voiced hundreds of parts in film and television since his role as Luke.
The first transport is away. The first transport is away.
Fact number 5. George Lucas got into a lot of trouble with the Writers Guild and Directors Guild. They had strict guidelines surrounding the placement of credits in films, and when they learned that Empire was going to follow in suit of the first Star Wars movie, saving all credits until the end of the film, they were outraged. They attempted to shut down production completely. George Lucas dropped his memberships, losing access to the director of his choice, Steven Spielberg. This is how he decided on his mentor, Irving Kershner, to direct the sequel. The guilds then went after Kershner with a fine of $250,000, which Lucas covered himself to protect his director. He dropped all connection with the Motion Picture Association of America and went on to fund the production with every last penny, and then some, of what he made from the success of Star Wars.
I'm afraid we'll have to replace it.
Of course I'll have to replace it.
Fact number 6. Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher partied with the Rolling Stones during production on Episode 5. They were invited to an event hosted by the Stones in 1979 and stayed up late drinking. When they got back on set the next morning, they were both angry and hungover. This is the scene that Carrie Fisher says was the product of their late night drinking.
How's this?
Would it help if I got on push?
Captain Soda. Mine!
Speaking of the Rolling Stones, Mark Hamill had a connection with the band around the same time. Whilst filming scenes with Yoda on Dagobah, Frank Oz would be hidden beneath the set, puppeteering Yoda's Muppet from below. This forced them to build the whole set off of the ground, which was a huge ordeal. Mark couldn't hear Frank on set, and vice versa, so they each had an earpiece in to hear their cues. One day on set, they were midway through a scene when Mark Hamill suddenly realized that the Rolling Stones were playing in his ear, because his headset was picking up a radio transmission. He was told to just ignore it if it happened again. So next time you watch Mark Hamill in this clip, remember that he was probably rocking out in his head to satisfaction.
Take it to him, Ariel. Yes, but now, let's eat. Come. Good food.
Fact number 7. The very last shot of the movie was added extremely late into production. After an early screening was shown to a focus group, George decided to extend the last shot of the film. The original version of the movie ended with the group looking off into space, but Lucas wanted it clarified that the rebels were picking up shop and traveling forward. To make the scene possible, model builders had to create this very complex model in under 2 weeks. Lucas took note of the speed in which the model was built, and set that as the expectation for model production on Return of the Jedi.
May the Force be with you.
Fact number 8. The scene where R2 is attacked by the dragon snake was actually filmed in George Lucas's unfinished swimming pool. Fact number 9. The other big hit of 1980, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, was being filmed at the same time as Empire at Elstree Studios. There was a huge fire that burned down the sets of The Shining at Stage 3, forcing Episode 5 to share its studio space. Kubrick's thriller classic was greatly delayed. And finally, fact number 10. I've talked about this point before, but I just find it to be so fascinating that I have to bring it up again. The first script for The Empire Strikes Back, written by Lee Brackett, was drastically different. Let's go over some basic ideas. Tauntauns are giant snow lizards. Wampas are ice creatures that freeze people with their touch and are the main focus of the opening of the film. Yoda is called Minch and looks like a frog. Lando's last name is Kadar, and he is a clone of his grandfather. Bespin's surface is abandoned, inhabited by native manta ray cloud riders. Vader lives on a lava planet in a castle. The story is driven by Han's search for his wealthy uncle. Minch fights Obi-Wan's ghost. Anakin talks to Luke about his sister, but not Leia. And most importantly, Darth Vader isn't Luke's father. George Lucas hated the script and hired Lawrence Kasdan to write a brand new one. It's a pretty hilarious rendition on the film that we all know so well. I enjoyed it so much that I transcribed the whole script word for word. There was only one quote that I couldn't get quite right. Can any of you figure out what it means? It would be super helpful. So please put your suggestion in the comments below. That wraps up episode number 20 of Star Wars Factor Beam. Subscribe to Star Geek for weekly Star Wars content. Did you learn anything about my favorite film of all time, The Empire Strikes Back? If so, put it in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please shoot that like button at light speed. You can follow me on Facebook at StarGeek and on Twitter and Instagram at StarGeekYT. Watch my last video, an app showcase on Diddy, and you can also watch Factor Beam episode 19 on BB-8. Don't forget to like the video, and comment on your own character suggestions below. Until we meet again in a galaxy far, far away, this has been Star Geek. Bonus fact, the scene here where you see the breath of the Tauntaun was a lot harder to pull off than it looks. The mechanism that they set up was freezing in the cold Norwegian weather, so everyone got out a cigarette and smoked into a big plastic bag. Once all the smoke had been collected, they began filming the scene and released the contents of the bag out of the mouth of the puppet. It was a one-shot deal.